In this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can initially set up your Opnsense Firewall, setting up DNS, DHCP, LAN and WAN IP addresses. Hello and welcome back to my channel. So in our previous video, I showed you guys how to download and install Opnsense. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to do the system configuration wizard, and then we will go step by step setting up the interface's name and the IP addresses, DHCP server, and DNS configuration. We can do that in the wizard as well. I'll show you both ways. So this is the quickest way you can consider to do the basic configuration. So on the first page, you will see the host name, whatever host name you want to set. So let's say I want to set, firewall 05. Let's say it's my 5th firewall. I'm going to set that one. And then the DNS server, if you want to use your gateway, you can use that. I'm hiding this IP address because this is my public IP address frame. So I can remove this one and I can add Google DNS. And now you can see I have Google DNS. Also, I can add Cloudflare DNS. And once you press the comma key, it will add the DNS. And then for override DNS, you can leave it checked. And then enable resolver, you can leave it checked as well. And then click on next. Here it's asking for the WAN IP address. So if you don't have the WAN IP address set up, as I said in my previous video, you can do that in the setup wizard. What you need is the LAN configured, which came most of the time pre-configured. You just install it and then you plug in a machine into the LAN network, and then you can access it with the LAN IP address, which is by default 192.168.1.1. So you mention here your public IP address, or you can define the type if it's DHCP, static, or OE. With the PPPoE, if you don't know about this, if your connection is coming from a PPPoE connection, that means you're not going to need IP address or the gateway. You're going to need a username and a password. If I click here, you can see username, password, and the service name. You can define service name whatever you want. But in this case, I'm going to use the static IP address, and then I'll need to type the gateway address here, which I did in my previous video, but somehow it removed in the initial setup. And then for the block RFC private networks and block logon networks, you make sure to keep those checks. Otherwise, you will be able to access your web configurator using the public IP address of your WAN. So if these are checked, then you can only access it with the LAN IP address. But still, there is one rule you need to define. But the best way is to keep those checked. So all the traffic for port 80 on this IP address will be blocked specifically for the web configurator. Then you press next. And here you can define the LAN IP address again if you want to change. Let's say I want to change it to 172.16.1. And then it's also asking configure DHCP server. Yes, I do want to configure DHCP server. And as I click next, please specify the CIDR. So you can define CIDR like 24. I'm going to define 16. And here it's asking for the deployment type, automatic DHCP and DNS registration. I'm going to leave this check. And optimize for multi-WAN. Well, we currently don't have the multi-WAN, but you can leave this check. So in future, if you have a multiple WAN, then it will automatically move from WAN 1 to WAN 2. And then click next. And here we are going to update the root password. Like previously it was Opnsense. Make sure you type a super secure password and then click next. I knew that sometimes when you have long password, it doesn't match. So now the setup is completed. Click apply and not now. So go to dashboard. It maybe won't be able to access because we just changed the IP address. So let's try in a new tab. Oops, 172. Well, before that, we need to check the IP address if it changed, or we need to disable or enable the interface. So we can do that from here, disconnect and then connect. Once it's connected, and we'll check the IP address again. Now you can see it's showing me the IP address of 172.1.6. So we should be able to access it 172.1.6.0.1. So the IP address of the LAN is changed. Also, the settings for DHCP are also changed, but we are going to make some more changes. Root password. After completing the initial setup, you should be redirected to the lobby. If not, simply click on the OpenSense logo and it will show you the dashboard. So here it's showing a bunch of information about the host name and the IP address information, the gateway, the OpenSense version, and you can modify that. If you want to see any specific information, simply click on that pencil sign and click on edit. Now you can see you are able to remove things from here. So you can remove and clean all the page. And if you want to add any specific thing, you can click here and then you can add the widget. Whatever you want to show on the dashboard, you can select from here. And the next thing is going to be interfaces. In case if you have to change the IP address of your LAN interface, simply go to interfaces, click on LAN, and then update the IP address here. Here you can see, and the CIDR as well. And if you want to update any settings on WAN, if you want to move it from IPv4 static to IPv4 DHCP, you can do it from here. Or if you want to update the IP address, you can do in the IP section. And then let's say if you have more than two interfaces, let's say you're using an actual device which has 4 or 5 interfaces. So you simply assigned two interfaces. There should be more to set up. So you will see here unused interfaces. So you can just make sure the MAC address is matching with the interface and you can select that and save. So that way you will be able to access those interface and you can assign different services on those interfaces as well. And the next thing is going to be, setting up the DNS IP address on the OpenSense. So that's under system and click on setting and should be under general, system, setting, and general. Here you can see DNS and you can set multiple DNSs. I'm using two, one of the Google DNS and one from the Cloudflare. All right. And the third and the most important thing is going to be the DHCP service. So if you click on services, it's a service, right? DHCP is a service. So it should be under services. So currently you can see we have more than one DHCP service. So Kia is the latest one, which already replaced with IASC. That service we've been using in the older version of pfSense and OpenSense, but now that one is obsoleted. So now we use Kia DHCP, or there is another one, DNS Mask and DHCP. So I'm gonna go into that one. So if you click on hosts or DHCP range, here you can see it's set up on the LAN interface. Let's say if you want to configure one more, you need to click on the plus sign and then you select the interface. Currently we have LAN and WAN. If you add a new interface, let's say LAN 2, you can select that and you can set the start address and the end address, subnet mask, and the lease time. So these are the important settings you do on that one. So for this one, let's say I want to change the IP address range. It's starting from 0.41, but I want to use more static IP address, let's say. So I want this to start after 172.165.1 and go until this one. And this is the least time in seconds. You can calculate that. And now the settings are saved. And if I click on apply, those settings will be applied. All right, so that's all the basic settings you need to do, and you should be good to go working with this firewall settings. There are many firewalls which have been running since, you can say, 5-10 years with these basic settings. No extra stuff is required. Since it's a firewall, it will automatically block any unknown traffic. If you go to logs, let's say I'm going to show you some logs. If it shows pfSense, so in the dashboard, if you see the firewall portion, this is actually showing the log. So I'm going to click on it to view the more details logs. So it's a live view and you can see only the allowed traffic is WAN out. So I'm accessing anything from my computer, let's say google.com. That traffic means out. And if some bot is trying to get into my firewall, you can see it's being denied. And there are billions of bots all the time running and trying to access the open ports and open things. So that's why this firewall or any other firewall is always recommended to use in your network so you can prevent all of these kind of attacks and you stay safe. So for this video, that's it. And let me know in the comment if you have any kind of questions, and I will see you in the next video detailed with the more details about the firewall rules and the net rules. I'll see you in the next video.